This is a Huddle Sports Network broadcast. You can find us on Roku TV, Amazon Fire Stick TV, Facebook, and YouTube. Get all your sports news here first. The daily podcasts are Ken and Ken in the Morning, Lions Talk with Smoking Jeremy B, Wrestling Roundup, The Big Football Show, and more, Shield TV, Lions Villain Report, and Red Zone Rant. The afternoon podcasts are Valhalla, Grosef Sports, WCFL Dolphins Talk, The Cheap Seats, The Bodkin Show, Spirit of Detroit Podcast, and Maniacs. The nightly podcasts are Palace Hall Report, Frozen Tundra Network, Skull Gang 365, The Huddle Sports Network Open Mic, First and 10 with Foz, Main Event Football Show, Prime Sports World, The Man Cave, Prim and Proper Sports. Spitballing Podcast, Lions Fan Cave Chat, Puckett, 313 Den Podcast, The Guys Huddle, Shots from the Sideline, Let's Talk Sports, The Michigan Truth Sports Podcast, Off the Rails, NFC Northeast, Power Hours, and Detroit Lions News. Make sure you follow, like, share, subscribe, and comment. Hope you like all the shows.
Oh yeah, it's time for the new Saturday sports show. I'm Ralph Williams, your host, formerly known as something else that we're not going to talk about, and we're still going to do it. We're still going to have our Bums in Sports segment, but we just don't have the name anymore. And now we're here with the Saturday sports show, and my co-host Leo Haggerty from Amped Up Sports. Our guest today, Joe KUKLIS from DraftNation.com, and our other guest, PENNSMAN Sports as well. And we are simulcasted today on both Huddle Sports Network and also on the South Florida Tribune Network as well. Scott will be back with us probably next week as he is at the Super Bowl with his lovely wife Candy Ebling, and they're having a great time down there at the Super Bowl. I saw a lot of the pics that they posted, and it's a fun time down there in New Orleans. I know some friends of mine that own a couple businesses down there, and they said they're making a bundle of money. And that's great to hear from them down there doing that as well. All right, we have a bunch of comments we'll get to right now real quick before we go. All right, we know about that. It's not a bum show anymore. No, it's not. And please address the whole name change situation. I have, Josh. Thank you. And my bum already dropped off. Well, whatever. Goodbye. All right.
You know what, Ralph? Before you go on, let me explain why we changed the show. And I'm the reason. One of my sponsors is a Catholic elementary school. And when you people that started posting bum as another connotation, I can't be involved in that. And I told Ralph that. And Ralph was kind enough to change the name. So you people who started making bum something else, you're to blame. Because that's why I asked him to change the name of the show. End of story, folks.
There you go. All right. Okay, we're going to go around and do our introductions, and then we're going to get started with the show. But first, we got to go to our studio sponsor, Mata Heating and Air Conditioning, 724-201-0500, Mata Heating and Air Conditioning. All right, let's get started with our opening. First, we'll start with PENNSMAN Sports. PENNSMAN, how are you? Tell everybody how they can get a hold of you, and how's everything going today?
I'm all right. You can find me at YouTube on PENNSMAN Sports, and you can find me on X on PENNSMAN Sports. I'm doing all right. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Today's the day of our first name change. Leo explained everything to everybody, so everybody knows what's going on. And there we go. All right, Josh says he does like the new name, and so does Cyber Husky also. That's great to hear. Good that you guys are here. And also let's see. All right, let's see here. Okay, there we go. All right, Josh, thank you for letting me know that. All right. Okay, guys, let's go. Leo, let's go to you, Amped Up Sports, and tell us how they can get a hold of you and what's going on in your area right now.
Yeah, we just had a great time reminiscing about Coach Amir Thursday night when they named him the posthumously Coach of the Year. And, I mean, had a great interview with Tim Pernetti, the commissioner. That's up. You can get a hold of us, Amped Up Sports, on a plethora of platforms. go there, put up a video, a daily video, and some post game and some pressers. So we're trying to stay current. We're trying to stay just not Super Bowl. There's other things going on, but hey, I don't think they really know that, and that's where you can get in touch with us. Amped Up Sports.
All right, Joe KUKLIS, welcome to the show. Joe, it's been a long time since you've been on this program. Wow.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me back. I appreciate it.
You were on the other network the last time you were on here, I think. So,
Yeah.
But anyway.
Yeah,
Joe,
no, great. Thank you very much for having me back. I appreciate that. And
you're welcome.
folks can find me at yeah, sure. Everybody can find me at Draft Nation on the socials, or joe@draftnation.com. I'll get you my email address. Go check out draftnation.com. It's a magazine that focuses on all 4 sports and their professional drafts and team building.
All right, we're going to start our bum segment right now. We're still going to do the bum in sports. I mean, we haven't vacated that. It's just the name of the show is gone. It's brought to you by Robin Campbell Insurance, 412-366-3399. Call Robin today. Farmers and Bristol West Insurance. He has all types of insurance, life, home, auto, and rental. I urge you, please, to get renter's insurance. I'm seeing too many people get burned with their landlords and stuff like that, especially if you live in a building where your landlord lives in New York. All right, so please get yourself some renter's insurance. Put the beer down, put the whatever down, and cut back on cigarettes a little bit or something, and get yourself some renter's insurance from Farmers as well. All right, and Cyber here says, "Welcome, Joe. Thank you." All right.
Thank you, Cyber.
All right, there we go. All right, now we're going to get to our bum segment. Leo, we'll start with you. Who's your bum today?
Well, I'm going to have to pick all these NCAA bracketologists who are predicting anywhere from 10 to 12 Big 12 schools being in the tournament. How stupid can you be? You're going to tell me now that the 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th best teams in a conference who are going to be below 500 are going to go to the dance over teams like, let's say, Charlotte, let's say Memphis, let's say Temple, teams that, they're first, second, or third in their conference, but because they're not in the Big Four, they can't get in. Guys, come on. Let's be realistic, you guys who are supposedly bracketology experts. They're my bum because they are not thinking at all. They are just trying to appease conferences by saying, okay, we're bringing that many in. It's not happening. You get 6, 7, or 8, be happy. You can't exceed more than half of your conference in the tournament. And if that happens, we're going to turn it off, simply.
All right, thank you, Leo. You're watching the Saturday Sports Show, formerly known as something else, which we're not going to talk about right here on the air here, but we are on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, Twitter, X platforms, and also on the Huddle Sports Network and on the South Florida Tribune Network as well. All right, Joe KUKLIS, you're our guest today as well. Your bum for today.
I'm going to say bums, and I'm going to lump in a number of things here, and I'm going to say Pirates ownership and management for their lack of effort at all in finding anybody to play first base and right field for this team heading into a season where they might have the best pitcher in baseball. And in all honesty, and let's face facts, they're not going to pay him in 4 years. They only have 4 years left with him. And you want to build a team around them, and they've made zero effort to do that. So, for me, my bum of the week has to be Pirate ownership and management. I don't think that this surprises anybody, but ultimately, as sports fans and baseball fans in general, if someone could explain what they're doing, they're a better man or woman than I am, because I don't get what they did in this offseason.
All right. PENNSMAN Sports, you're a bum for today.
Leo's probably going to agree with me on this since he already talked about some of it, but Clemson Tigers basketball is playing.
God.
Hold on, Leo.
Oh,
Clemson Tigers are playing Duke Blue Devils, and Duke's my team, but they're 20-2 is the Duke Blue Devils. They're second in the nation. The Clemson Tigers have 5 losses, second in the ACC, and they're still not ranked. Why isn't the Clemson Tigers not ranked? I don't care about other teams, but if you have 5 losses and you prove to beat the good teams, why can't you be ranked? That's my bum.
All right. My bum today is Roger Goodell of the NFL and the NFL Planning Commission. How in the world do you have the Pittsburgh Steelers playing their opening game in Ireland? I get it. You want them to play in Ireland. I get that. But not the opening game. And then on top of that, you still haven't revealed the opponent yet. Supposedly it's supposed to be Green Bay. You come up with this right before the Super Bowl. Why didn't you inform the Steelers before this and give them a better grasp at what they're doing? Instead, they do the last-minute thing. Listen, since Dan Rooney has passed, Roger Goodell has had it out for the Steelers, and I blame Art Rooney II for this because of some of the nonsense that he's done over the years. He's rubbed the commissioner the wrong way. Dan Rooney was never like this. Dan Rooney was a likable guy. Art II is not a likable guy. He said in several different interviews this past couple of weeks that he wants to let his children start to run some things in the ownership. All I can say is I hope they do better than their father, and that's my.
Hey, Ralph, be happy you're not playing in Brazil.
Yeah, I know that was Rio de Janeiro.
What a horrific mistake that was.
Yes.
So, hey, you're going to Ireland, and I don't think it's going to be Green Bay because they had to open up in Brazil. I think it's going to be somebody else.
Oh, okay. Well, they said it might be Green Bay, so But anyway.
And Ralph, is that going to be a home game, guys? Because that's huge. If the Steelers lose a home game to go play in Ireland, that's.
Here we go. Patty, welcome to the program, Patty. She says her bum today is the NFL Coach of the Year voters for robbing Dan Campbell. There you go.
Ralph,
so
Ralph, Leo.
Well, we're going to get to all that stuff later. That's for sure. Because there is an outcry over a lot of things happening.
All right, PENNSMAN, go ahead.
Leo read my mind when he said that. I was going to say that the Eagles and Packers they started this year in Brazil and they couldn't even wear green.
Yeah, exactly. I remember that. That was a mess. All right, guys. We're gonna have a new segment here called News, Sports News. Now, as part of Sports News, that is brought to you in part by Alex's Flowers, 412-661-6071. Call Alex today. 30 years in the flower business, weddings, parties. If you need flowers for a funeral, if you need flowers just for your sweetheart, Valentine's Day is coming up. Give Alex a call. Your flowers will be delivered right to your sweetheart. That number, 412-661-6071. Alex's Flowers. He's also a Pitt alum. So just to let everyone know that as well. All right, here we go. Some news, possible trade. Saints are sending Derek Carr to the Las Vegas Raiders for a fourth, and possibly a 5th-round pick. Now, let's start with you, PENNSMAN. Your thoughts on this possible trade?
Trades are going to happen. Trades are going to be left and right. All of us that are in the media, we're going to have a headache because of all the trade rumors. But I thought Russell Wilson was going to go to Las Vegas because the Steelers already broke up with Russell Wilson because of what I heard. But it's a good trade. Let it happen.
Absolutely. Joe?
That would surprise me. He came from the Raiders. There's some bad blood there. I don't see that. Maybe I'm wrong. I mean, if they're ahead of me, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, obviously, there's something there. I think he's still under contract for 2 more years, but I don't know what his cap hit would be. If that's something that their new coach Pete Carroll wants to take on, that would also surprise me. You would think that he has a chance to kind of rebuild this team, and he drafts 6th overall. There are many that think that Shedeur Sanders slides to him, and I think that's a perfect match. I think Shedeur wants to play there, and I think the Raiders would like to have Shedeur there. I don't know, the cap hit stuff. That trading a starting quarterback is a tough one. and I think he also has a no trade clause that he would have to waive. And let's face it, this season was a wasted season there for him. So if that's a real deal and someone's actually going to do it, I would be shocked. But stranger things have happened. The Steelers had Russell Wilson playing for him last year for $1 million. That was pretty strange too. So the league these days is a little out of control. But I don't see that happening. But I could be wrong.
All right, Leo, your thoughts on this possible trade?
You know what, Joe? Everything's going to revolve around what you and I and my amped up sports guys talk about when we get to the draft, because where does Hunter fix into this? He may be the best pick in the draft because he can do so much, but does that trump a quarterback? This is going to get real interesting at the top, and I think you're going to see some people try to move up to 2 and 3. Do I see that trade happen? No, not going back. Again, I think Kirk Cousins is going to figure into this mix. I think Russell Wilson is, but I don't see Derek Carr moving. Again, look what happened to Kirk Cousins down in Atlanta. Same thing happened down in New Orleans with Carr. They tried to play hurt. We know what happened with Baker Mayfield up in Cleveland. He played hurt, never said anything, and then management said, well, you were playing bad. Well, geez, you put me on the field and I was 80%. A healthy quarterback in the National Football League is like gold, and that's the key. You got to keep them healthy. When they get hurt, when they get banged up, now you're dealing with plan B, and that's not good. But I don't see that trade happening, because how many times do you see a quarterback go back to where they started? Never.
Yeah, exactly. All right, guys. Next, Raiders and Giants interested in Russell Wilson. We already knew about the Raiders being involved, but let's talk about the Giants now. Brian DeBow, start with you, Leo. Giants and Raiders interested in Russell Wilson.
Well, again, I think the Giants need to go to a stopgap right now. Just get somebody for a year or two and see what's happening. Yeah. And again, what New York has an advantage over everybody else is that media market. You could make more in endorsements being the number one quarterback in New York in the Big Apple than anybody else. And I'm going to defer to my son, Sean, who 10 to 15 years ago on the air said, you know what? The NFL needs to start figuring out, stop drafting quarterbacks and start buying quarterbacks. And that makes so much sense. It's a crapshoot. You never know who you're going to get. Are you going to get Jaden Daniels or are you going to get Heath Schuler? You just don't know. And these kids coming out are good. They got to get to the right team. Because remember, if you're drafting early, you're not good. So it's going to take a while. That's why what Jaden Daniels did in Washington was monumental. It was almost like mythical. Shouldn't have happened, and it did.
All right, Joe KUKLIS.
Well, I think that's interesting. I mean, first of all, I'm not, again, the Raiders are a team in need of a veteran quarterback, and so are the Giants. There is the Pete Carroll connection. I'm not sure that's necessarily as strong as people think it might be. In fact, Russell Wilson was traded away from Seattle to Denver under the Pete Carroll regime. So I'm not sure that that's as, happy, joy as everybody thinks it is out there. I might be wrong. I don't know the personalities behind it, but my guess is that there's a little bit more of a sting there than people are really suggesting. And then if you take a look at where the Giants are drafting, they're drafting 3rd overall, right? So they're going to likely have a shot at one of the 2 top quarterbacks. Whether it's Cam Ward that slips by, and let's say that Tennessee decides to either trade out or down or address a different position in a year and maybe give Will Levis another year to figure it out. And in front of them are the Cleveland Browns, who are in the process of potentially having to trade Myles Garrett, and there's an interest there in Abdul Carter from Penn State to fill that gap at the edge. And they have the Watson contract they've got to deal with. So the Giants might not have a starting quarterback that they can get in the draft if those two are gone by the time they draft at 3. But my guess is one of the two will be there, and they'll likely take that one. More than likely, it'll be Cam Ward. But my sense is that, Russell Wilson, I like Leo's, his suggestion that they and the Raiders need a stopgap somewhere in there, and that'll give a Cam Ward or a Shedeur Sanders a little room to breathe and learn the game from the bench as opposed to having to start right away. And I think that the Giants leadership might be able to do that if Wilson's going to come in at the right monetary level. They do have some stuff left under the cap there, so I'm certain that they could make it work. I just I don't know. Drafting 3rd overall, they might get their quarterback of the future, and maybe they bring in Russell for 1 year. I don't know if he wants to be that kind of player though, so we'll see. I think there's a better chance of him landing in New York than there is in Vegas, though.
All right, PENNSMAN.
Joe took some of my stuff I was going to say, but if I repeat myself, it's because Joe took some of my stuff. So Russell Wilson should go back and see how things go with Pete Carroll, because with Pete Carroll, they did win a Super Bowl. They did lose a Super Bowl, but they did win a Super Bowl. Him and Pete might able to fix things, but I can't see him going to the Giants because Giants are a dumpster fire right now. They have more things to fix than just quarterbacks. They need wide receiver. They need a running back. They just need some pulse to actually get that team moving. But I think Cam Ward's going there. I think Shedeur Sanders is going to go there. But I could even see Kirk Cousins going to there. And Jameis Winston's even a link to go there too. So Giants need a lot of help, and I can't see Russell Wilson going there for $1 million or $2 or whatever, and just a one and done. I think he's going to go back to where he's going to play, but I can't see the Giants get that.
All right, we're going to go into our next segment, which is going to be brought to you in part by, let me see what we got here. There we go. Big Dog Auto on in West Mifflin, right behind the county airport. Call them today, 412-999-0191. Big Dog Auto. Look, go to an auto repair place, and a lot of times they try to rip you off, but not Big Dog Auto. He does the job right. State inspection, brakes, oil change, and much more. Call Big Dog Auto today. Tell them Ralph Williams sent you. All right, guys. Let's get into the oh, wait a minute. I got one more here to talk about before we get into the Super Bowl, which is in our next segment. Eli Manning got snubbed from the Hall of Fame. We'll start with you, Leo. What do you think of Eli Manning getting snubbed from the Hall of Fame? You think next time or it's going to be a while?
It's going to be a while. And again, I have some inside information from the media outside of the Northeast. Now, the New York media, the people in the Northeast thought Eli gets it. Now, he does have probably the top post on anybody's resume. He quarterbacked the team to beat Tom Brady twice in the Super Bowl.
Right.
The question is, after that, what do you have? And again, I think he'll get in eventually, but he may have to get in years from now because that's just not enough right now. Yeah, he won 2 Super Bowls, but what else does he have? And again, I had talked to some people there. I said, did that conversation come up? Because I had posted that on my podcast saying, I hope somebody in the media says, is this enough to get you into the Hall of Fame? And I've had numerous people confirm, yes, that came up. And that's something that right now wasn't enough to get him into the Hall of Fame. And I got to agree with it. Not a first ballot Hall of Fame. It's a first ballot post for sure. You beat the GOAT twice. But what else do you got? So I agree with them not putting him in right now.
All right. Joey says it'll be interesting to see where Kyle Allen ends up. I think the Steelers are going to go with Justin Fields. Kyle Allen will be his backup. I like Kyle Allen. He was up in Buffalo. He backed up Josh Allen and did a reasonable job of winning some games. I like Kyle Allen. I think he should stay with the Steelers so they don't have to go out and look for somebody. And then draft a quarterback in the 4th or 5th round. I'm hearing TCU's quarterback could be on the Steelers' radar, and a few other guys.
Hey,
So
Rob, let me jump in real quick to answer that question. Take a look at McGee, the kid behind Pickett down in Philly. He's looked really good in the time he's been in. He may sign with another team. It may be, hey, it's a project. And Joe and PENNSMAN, you and I know about projects. Are they suspects or are they prospects? We don't know. But that kid may be somebody, may end up on somebody's radar.
Absolutely. I saw him play as well. Was Eli, Alex, I want to welcome you to the show. Joey as well, Patty, and all the other, Cyberuski and Josh Dorr. I want to welcome all you guys to the show and thank you for your comments. It says, was Eli actually a better quarterback than Brady? That's a good question. No, I don't think so. I think Brady was a better quarterback, won a lot of Super Bowls. And then on top of that, he had a good offensive mind in Josh McDaniel and Bill O'Brien. Yeah, so, you know. All right, Joe, your thoughts. Eli Manning, yes or no, should be in the Hall of Fame?
I agree with Leo. I think he'll eventually make it. I don't think he's a first ballot guy. I don't think his stats support that. He does have his 2 Super Bowl rings, which will eventually get him into Canton. But, you know, as a first-time candidate, I think that the committee did the right thing and waitlisted him. You know, I think he'll get there eventually, but you know, ultimately, you know, he's, you know, there. Look, I'm going to make an argument here, and people might not agree with it, but you know, they passed on Luke Kuechly. Luke Kuechly was Rookie of the Year. He was Defensive Player of the Year. He was first team All-Pro 7 of his first 8 years, and then in his 7th year or the 8th year, he was second team All-Pro, and they passed on him. And if they're going to pass on a guy with that kind of credentials, you know, Eli, as much as it stings me to say it, I mean, I think that honestly, you know, he's a guy that'll eventually get in, but you know, as a first ballot guy, it's not going to. He's not his brother.
All right, PENNSMAN Sports.
When Eli Manning retired, they want to give a quarterback. I don't know what it is. I don't understand it. I know about football, but this part I don't understand. They give him at least 5 to 6 years. When Ben Roethlisberger retired, he's going to be a Hall of Fame 26 or 27. That's where he's going to go. Tom Brady's going to be in the same class. So I think that Eli Manning is going to be in 26, 27. And Alex Church, to answer your question, Eli was a better quarterback in the Super Bowl because the Giants prepared themselves better than the New England Patriots at the time. Tom Brady can get me into a field and make me a Hall of Fame quarterback. Eli Manning does not have that potential of doing that. He can just make me as a semi-good pro football, but I'd rather have Tom Brady as a quarterback. And to answer your question, Eli is not better than Tom Brady. Tom Brady can make me a Hall of Famer. Eli can't.
All right, now we're going to talk about my opinion on that is I think Tom Brady was a better quarterback, but Eli Manning was not he was a good quarterback, went to the Super Bowl, won 2 Super Bowls, you know, so, you know, you could sit there all day and argue about different quarterbacks and what they've done. My thing is, if you have won a Super Bowl or 2, you should be in the Hall of Fame because that is why you're in the NFL, to win a Super Bowl. You're not in the NFL to just go to playoffs every year like the Steelers are and blow it. You know, you're in it to win it, and you got to win the Super Bowl, and that's the key ingredient in the NFL. And Bill Cowher once said, if you're not in it for the Super Bowl, you shouldn't be in it. And you know, so. All right, let's see here. Alex says,
Ralph, before we go on, can I respectfully disagree with you on that? Because what that means is every player on the New York Giants or on the Kansas City Chiefs that have won 2 Super Bowls, doesn't matter. They should be in the Hall of Fame. You got to have a resume. Again, that's a big part of your resume is you've got 2 Super Bowl rings. But there's got to be something else.
So what you're saying, Leo, is statistics and things like that, and different won some regular season games and things like that, and you know wasn't hurt. Yeah, I understand that. Yeah, I you know, I mean, but
it's hard because with a quarterback, that's the only thing you're judging things by, right, guys? Have you won a Super Bowl? That's the problem. That's their only judge. That's their only, yardstick.
right, exactly. Well, Dan Marino made it. He didn't win a Super Bowl, so there you are. But should have been a Pittsburgh Steeler. But I'm not going to argue about that today.
Ralph,
Let's talk about. Yes, PENNSMAN.
Can I answer Alex Church's thing?
Go ahead.
Ben Roethlisberger was a better quarterback than Eli, even though they came in the same class. I think Ben Roethlisberger was a better quarterback. Eli was good. It's just Ben Roethlisberger had better numbers than Eli. They both had 2 Super Bowls, but I think Ben Roethlisberger had better coaching and they had better. He trained harder than Eli. So hope that answers your question, Alex.
Yeah, I'd even go farther than what PENNSMAN said on that too. I mean, if you look at Roethlisberger's stats against Eli's, you're talking about someone that he has 7,000 more yards over his career passing. He has almost 50, 60 more touchdowns than he does. I'd have to go back and take a look, but I think he has less interceptions. I don't know off the top of my head. Probably a better quarterback rating. They both had 2 championships. Ben made the Pro Bowl 6 times. And Ben was in 3 Super Bowls and won 2. So like for me, I think Ben ended up being a better quarterback than Eli, but I think both those guys are Hall of Famers.
And you know what, guys? I'm going to throw this in. Name me a better pass thrown in a Super Bowl than the one Roethlisberger threw. And people don't realize that was thrown over a 6'3" corner to a 5'10" receiver with about 4 inches of play in the back. Great catch, but yeah.
You talk about the corner.
A better pass throw.
You talk about the corner in Arizona.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Just because
he
went to 2, so I just want to verify if that's the pass you're talking about.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, let's talk about the Super Bowl, the 600-pound gorilla in the room. Kansas City versus Philadelphia. I personally didn't want either one of them in this thing because I didn't want Kansas City to win 3 in a row, and I didn't want Kenny Pickett getting a Super Bowl ring. But you know what? I'm stuck with what this is, so we're going to go from there. Let's start with you, Joe. The Super Bowl. Your thoughts? What's and who you?
I think this. Sure. No, I think this is going to be a very entertaining Super Bowl. I think that the Chiefs have come so close to losing all year and yet continue to win. They only lost 1 game. When they got home field advantage throughout, I thought they were the odds-on favorites to get back. I think there's a great storyline for the NFL in terms of dynasty. Kelsey, Swift, 3 in a row. Where does this put them in the grand scheme of things against the dynasties of the Steelers and the Cowboys and some of the Patriot teams? I think that's a really, really, really good narrative for the NFL. On the flip side, you look at the NFC, and the season that Saquon Barkley has been historic. Josh Allen deserved the MVP, but I was having a conversation last night with a friend who's a big Eagles fan, and he said, why not Saquon? And that's true. It's hard to argue against that. I mean, Saquon has been a monster in that offense. And I think that, even Vegas doesn't know where it's going to go. I think that the line started at 1.5 and it's down to 1. And if I have to say this, Philadelphia is playing the best football in the NFL right now. I mean, they dominated the playoffs. And now they didn't have to go through the Buffalo Bills and they didn't have to do certain things. I mean, they got lucky with the Detroit Lions getting ousted, and maybe they didn't play the toughest schedule in the playoffs. They took care of business, and they took care of business. I mean, it was over by halftime, throughout the playoffs. So I think that they are playing the best ball, but the Chiefs, you got the best quarterback, you got the best coach, and often those are the formula. Put those 2 things together, and all of a sudden you're going to get wins and wins and wins, and that's where I think we are. I too, like you, Ralph, I would have rather seen Buffalo versus Detroit, something new. But all and at that point, you don't care who wins; you're just happy for both cities. Here, I think. It's hard for me to say this, but I think Philly wins in a slight upset and takes the Super Bowl and stops the Mahomes train.
All right, PENNSMAN.
I'm going to answer two questions. Well, first, I'm going to answer one, but Patty Grimes, that is a very awesome comment. Can we have a tie? Because I don't like either one. I agree with that one. And does the Super Bowl in the New Orleans provide home field advantage in either team? No. I can't see because they're both outside teams, so it's not going to be a home field advantage for either team. But with the Super Bowl, if the Chiefs stop Barkley, because Barkley needs 4 touchdowns to get the NFL record, he needs 3 to tie the record. The NFL record for playoffs is 8 touchdowns, and he's at 5 right now. The Los Angeles Rams almost beat the Eagles at Eagles, but if the Kansas City beats them, then they'll be at 3-peat. If they do, congratulations. But if the Eagles win, they'll get their second Super Bowl. So congratulations to them. I could care less either way, but I can see Kansas City beating them if they contain Barkley.
All right, Leo Haggerty.
You know what, guys? I'm going to answer this a little bit differently. I'm going to tell you how Kansas City wins. I'm going to tell you how Philly wins. Here's how Kansas City wins. If you go back to the previous 2 Super Bowls, they won it with the same play. We call it Polish motion or P motion. It's where the receiver goes in motion, stops, and comes back on the snap of the ball. They did it twice to the Eagles. They won the Super Bowl with that play against San Francisco. What Andy Reid does, and he is a master of this, he puts aside 2, 3, 4 plays that he does not run in the first half, that he will only run in the second half. Why? Because you can't go and game plan for it. You run something in the first half, you can game plan the second half, and people are going, well, there's not that much time. Guess what? At halftime, there's anywhere from 25 to 35 minutes. That's why the third quarter is the highest scoring quarter in the Super Bowl, because teams come out with new ideas, and the other team has been sitting there for 35 minutes, and they're not warmed up yet. Kansas City wins if this game is close in the second half, because Andy Reid's going to pull out their bag of tricks. Here's how Philly wins. And I love these talking heads that are coming back and saying, well, you just got to stack the box against Saquon Barkley. Well, Philadelphia will be salivating if that happens, because when people don't realize, when you talk about putting 6, 7, 8 in the box, what you're really putting in there is 3, 3.5, or 4. Now you're probably saying, Leo, what have you been smoking? Let me explain this to you. 4 people, if it's 8 in the box for easy math, there's 4 to the right, there's 4 to the left. All you're worried about if Saquon's running left is those 4 guys over there. The 4 guys on the other side, they're immaterial now. So when you put that in the box, you're only dealing with 4 players, right or left. Here's even worse. That means you got to play man-to-man on Brown, Smith, and Goddard. That's suicide. Look for Spagnuolo to try and change up things, because here's what's happened in the NFL over the past 10, 15 years. Defensive coordinators have been allowed to be gamblers. And gentlemen, we follow football. We've seen this happen, that there's always a guy open right away. They're hoping, and Kansas City is the best team at post-snap changes. They're hoping to make Jalen Hurts, okay, he's thinking he's going to go to a quick out to Brown. Well, guess what? They changed the coverage. He pulls that down, that rush gets to him. The quarterback that does the best at making plays extended because of what's happening once the ball is snapped. The one thing, guys, I don't want to see is a piece of yellow laundry on the field that favors the Chiefs when it's an obvious mistake. The fact that the NFL is even having to talk about after the Buffalo game, which was egregious, it was terrible. But if that happens in the Super Bowl, my God, because
Somebody's going to get fired.
Yeah, I can go back 2 years to the phantom hold at the end of the game. And the worst thing was Patrick Mahomes was mic'd up, He's throwing the ball and he's begging for it. He's holding it. That was going on all game, both sides of the ball. And the fact that that happened, I think one of the over-under bets is how many times Patrick Mahomes is going to draw a roughing the passer penalty. The fact that we're talking about this has got to be driving the NFL nuts because it's crazy.
Yeah.
But that's how Kansas City wins, and that's how Philadelphia wins.
Yeah, exactly. And you know something, Leo, it's really sad, guys, that we have to sit here and talk about bad officiating. I've been talking about it for years. I mean, and especially in college football, but now in the NFL here, we have the big game coming up. I hope these officials are with their game. I hope that the NFL has something set up here because if not, as I just said, somebody's going to get fired. And, that could happen. And you know what? It's good to see the NFL finally cracking a whip a little bit on some of this officiating. And right around the Super Bowl is a perfect time to do it, especially.
Ralph, before we go on, I want to throw this out to Joe and PENNSMAN.
Go ahead.
Why does the NFL not make officials full time? Pay them another $50,000, make them 12 months employees. The fact that you got a guy who's a dentist Monday to Saturday and then shows up to do an NFL game on Sunday.
Hey, how about Ed Hockley? He was a lawyer. You know what I mean? That's why he was so good at explaining everything every time he had a penalty. I mean, it was like he was in court,
Yeah. You have guys that are teachers and that.
Yeah.
Why just not make it like baseball and basketball and hockey? These guys are full-time employees. Oh, maybe the NFL doesn't have money. Not. Just make these guys full-time because the game is suffering. And the fact that I know Bert Emanuel was probably laughing at the TV when Worthy's catch was ruled a catch. He goes, mine was better than that, and they called it incomplete out in St. Louis. Wow. Something's got to change, guys. What do you think?
NHL, here, Cyber Ruski said NHL refs are full-time. And NHL doesn't have nowhere near the money the NFL has.
Yeah, NFL's the only one. Every other of the major North American sports are full-time officials.
Yeah, my question is, if you have a union, like a refs union, where's the union at here? Why don't they say, hey, look, why don't we, do us full-time and put that in a contract or something, So, PENNSMAN, Joe, your thoughts on the referees and full-time. We'll start with you, PENNSMAN.
NHL referees are more full-time because they are going night after night and they go to city after city. The NFL can do that. It's just they only play Sundays, they only play Saturdays, they only play Thursdays, so they have to do something in between the week. With NHL, they have Monday night they go here, Tuesday night they go here, Wednesday they can go to another city, and that's why they have refs in different cities. But they travel all year round for all 82 games for all the clubs. Can they do it? Possibility, but what are the refs going to do Monday through Thursday or whatever, Monday through Wednesday, and then take Friday off? What are they going to do? That's the problem with the NFL. They're not going to be day to day like the NHL is. That's the only difference. Go ahead, Joe.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I mean, the NHL is not only the 82 game. Go ahead, Ralph.
No, go ahead. I had a couple of things there. That's why I had to get off the air for a minute.
Yeah, no worries. What I was going to say is I agree with PENNSMAN. They not only have 82 games, but they also have preseason games, and then they have postseason games. And those guys are on the ice and traveling not just October through April, but then many of them are in those playoff games May through June. So they have off July and August. So they are full time, and they're doing 3 or 4 games a week, just by the nature of what they do. And they're on the ice for all 60 plus minutes of every game, right? It's just the nature of what they do. Same thing for NBA, same thing for Major League Baseball with umpires. I mean, there's too many games for them not to be full time. I 100% agree on the NFL side. It doesn't make sense that they're not full time like Leo suggests, but I get it. They play September through December, and then many of them go away because they don't make the playoff. They don't make the cut. But I think also, part of the problem that we're seeing is that, the league is perceived as, being judgmental, and there's conspiracy theories out there which are ludicrous about how this is all scripted like the WWE. It's not that. It's not that at all. But when you see Josh Allen from a sky cam clearly make the first down and the call is that he didn't make it and they don't change it, that's the problem that people are having. And it always seems to favor one team. And it did Tom Brady for a number of years. This does now with Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. And so, of course, that lends itself to these conspiracy theories. And there are ways to take care of it. I mean, other leagues use electronic stuff. And I don't know why the NFL does not use it to gauge whether or not someone made a first down. I mean, I want you to think about this. Literally, it's the year 2026, and there are two guys in their 50s and 60s standing there with a chain measuring 10 yards, and they have a note card that they've used to see if the ball actually touched it. And they've got a square that sits on the midline so that you can tell where the chain is when you bring it from the sideline, instead of having what they have in tennis or what they're using in the UFL. I mean, it's ridiculous that they're still doing it, and they say it's tradition, and we don't want to take the human element out of the game. Yes, you do. This game is a multi-billion-dollar industry, if not a trillion-dollar industry, when you add all the multiplier effects to it, and how it bleeds into this, and what it means for Kansas City to be in the Super Bowl and not Buffalo. Ask the city of Buffalo what it feels like right now, because they made a mistake, and those are the big economic swings for cities, right? It's the honest to God's truth. And the stuff that they do, I mean, look, and I get there are things where there could be holding on every play and stuff like that. But honestly, when you've got, amateur fans and sideline referees and armchair referees making better calls than the guys on the field, and they have a really tough job. I agree with Leo. There has to be year-round training. They have to sit there and watch video, and they have to simulate games. And I would even do with the VR headsets that they put through the quarterbacks so that they could see plays being delivered. Why are they not using that for referees? Put them on notice and do this throughout the season, and then teach them. And instead of this part-time stuff, it doesn't make sense. And look, I'm not the commissioner for a day, so it's not going to change, but ultimately it's something that they really have to look at. And I think Leo has a really strong point that I'm surprised it hasn't happened. And there are a lot of other things that they could be doing throughout those 4 days where they're off from Sunday to Thursday for training, so that way that it doesn't happen. These guys get paid a lot of money for, a couple of hours on a weekend. And the prep that goes up to that, I just don't understand why they don't professionalize it and bring it in and make it full time.
You know what, guys? Think of how it would be if they were full time. You could have assigned 10 referees to each team in the league during OTAs, during practice. They would have referees there to go with players and say, hey, no, you're not going to be able to get away with this on Sunday. And it's funny, guys, that you bring that up. Kansas City in the last 2 Super Bowls have not been called for an offensive holding penalty. That's phenomenal.
Well, I'll tell you something. In college, and we all know this because we watch college football, the referee could make a call and you could start the play and the booth calls down and says, hold on, we want to look at this.
I disagree with that totally.
You're right, exactly. So do I, Leo, because it interrupts the game and it interrupts the flow of the team trying to get moving. You know what I mean? You don't know how many times I when I was watching Pitt play this year, because they run this go offense, it's like fast moving, boom, 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 and can't get nothing accomplished because they kept stopping the game every 5 seconds because the booth is calling down. The NFL has to do a better job. They need to do something here that's going to work for everybody, because if not, it's not going to work at all, and we're going to continue to have these conspiracy theories and things like that as well. Let's go to the comment section real quick here, because we got a whole heap of them here. Let's go to this. I appreciate all your comments. Good point, Leo, says Cyberuski. Alex Church says average NFL salary is over $200,000. Not bad for a part-time job. Don't everyone wish they had that kind of money for a part-time job? Train, have classes, have seminars. Absolutely, Cyberuski. Thank you. And Cyberuski also says review rule video footage. And then also don't forget about Cyberuski here has, I think, Elon Musk can fix a lot of these issues. There you go. There you are. We'll get him involved too. He's involved in a lot of stuff. All right. I think they should boycott the Super Bowl this year. Now, I don't think so. I just think the NFL needs to get their house in order with these officials, and I think it'll be a good Super Bowl. All right. We were going to talk about some other topics, but we don't have enough time here. So we're going to get into our local segment, and our local segment is brought to you in part by, we'll talk about these issues next week. It is brought to you in part by the original Hometown Pizza, Moon Township, right on University Boulevard, 412-264-4444. Call them today, and when you do, tell them Ralph Williams sent you. You'll get a discount on your order. Pickup, delivery, or eat-in. I tell you what, they have a nice eat-in area there. Go in there, sit down, have a pizza, and guess what they have? Those old-fashioned 80s video games, Galaga, Pac-Man, all that stuff. Wow. They even have air hockey in there. Sit down, enjoy, play some games. It's fun at the original Hometown Pizza, and tell them Ralph Williams sent you. Get a discount on your order. We're in the Mata Heating and Air Conditioning Studios here at Studio 808 in the Allentown section of the city of Pittsburgh. 724-2010-500 Mata Heating and Air Conditioning. All right, guys, our locals. And since we have three guys here from Pittsburgh, I'm going to decline the local and let PENNSMAN and Joe do their thing. PENNSMAN, start with you, local.
Joe said this before the air, and I'm going to take it. So I'm gonna take it.
I'll let you have it. It's all yours, my friend.
Yeah, I'm gonna take it and run. The Penguins played their best game last night, 3-2 against the New York Rangers. Joe said before the stream that they lose draft stock. They need to go back to the lottery. They need to go back to number one. They played their best game without Crosby and Malkin. Is that the future? Is a new center in the draft? Is a new goalie in the draft? What? That's my bum. They should have lost the game that they need to win. Go ahead, Joe.
Yeah, I'm going to congratulate the Steelers on the hiring of Gerald Alexander as their new defensive backs coach. We just found that out yesterday. For those who aren't familiar with Alexander, Alexander was the safeties coach for the Las Vegas Raiders last year. He's thought well of around the league, and I'm hoping that in some respects that signals that the Steelers are getting serious about changing the way their defensive backs have been coached over the last few years. I know they haven't made any significant changes, but this is a change, and you've got a rising coach here that I think might be, someone that can help Minka get back on track. Maybe figure out how to get Joey Porter to stop grabbing, and who knows what they do in the draft and the free agency heading into next season. But they've got some talent there, and let's see if this guy can develop it. And hats off to them for trying to make a change there, at least one part of the defense to make it better.
All right, Leo.
Joe, I agree with you on Joey Porter, but not stop holding, but stop getting caught, right? Because you hold every play. Excuse me. Here's what's happening in Tampa Bay. The Bucks hired a new offensive coordinator. They promoted from within. The Lightning, big win Thursday night against Ottawa. They're back up in third place in the Eastern Division. I guess they call that the Atlantic now or whatever. There's the Metropolitan. I think that's the Atlantic. USF, the women's team, 2 big wins. They were in third place. They beat UT San Antonio, who was in first place. And they beat North Texas, who was in second. So all of a sudden, women's basketball in the American Athletic Conference, you've got Texas San Antonio with 1 loss, and you've got South Florida and North Texas with 2 losses. So that got really cramped. And USF men, a very bittersweet night Thursday when we honored Coach Amir Abdur-Rahim, who passed away suddenly. And Coach Tim Pernetti was in. I had a great relationship with the man. I can remember his first press conference after they beat South Carolina State. And I said, what do you expect from this team this year? And he looked at me and said, when we win the AAC, I'll give you a piece of the net. And I thought, this guy's delusional. And they came out and put together a 15-game winning streak. And my bum eventually is going to be the NCAA selection committee for not letting them in last year. And it was the guy's last chance. No one knew that. But that's what's going on here. The Lightning have a game away tonight. And then they break for the Four Nations for 10 days. USF. The women are at Temple tonight. And tomorrow they're up. The men are going to host a game here at 2 o'clock. So I'm going to go there at 2 o'clock, then over to the Tampa Delphi Eagles Club at 6:30 to watch the Super Bowl with 600 of my closest Eagles friends over there. So it's going to be fun. And Joe, real quick, I haven't forgot about you. We got guys. I know Ryan Neal is going to come on. He's going to LSU's Pro Day. So he's going to be able to give you an expert opinion on what's coming out of Baton Rouge. But my guys are coming. We just want to get them all lined up.
Sounds good.
All right, let's see here. Patty Grimes says that B Michigan, the Pistons, and the Red Wings doing good, and the Lions hired David Shaw as their and DeWalt Sproles. Okay, yeah, David Shaw. That was a great hire by Dan Campbell. He's always good at picking his assistants. David Shaw was the head coach at Stanford, and I watched his team in action. Pitt played him in a bowl game, lost by a few points, but could have won that game if it weren't for mistakes. But Stanford was a good football team when David Shaw had his hands on it. He's been around the NFL as well as an assistant coach. All right, we're gonna closing thoughts and tell everybody how they can get a hold of you. Start with you, Pensman.
Well, just want to let everybody know that the Penguins and Flyers are playing tonight, so that's a big keystone battle tonight. Since Leo said something about the Tampa Bay game tonight, so I just want to mention the Penguins and Flyers tonight. So hopefully the Penguins can keep trending in the right direction. But you can find me on YouTube on PENNSMAN Sports and X on PENNSMAN Sports too.
All right, I'm sorry to say this, Joey. I like high school basketball, but I haven't been following it lately because I've had some things going on with my production company, so I haven't been able to really follow it. Maybe Joe or Pensman can ask or that question. I'm not real sure.
Hey, Joey, if you go back 60 years when I was in Pennsylvania, I would say Shenley. So I don't even know if they still have a school.
All right, Joe, you closing thoughts and tell them how they can get a hold of you and draftnation.com.
Yeah, sure. Check us out. This is our busy time of year starting on Monday. We cover all 4 major sports in their drafts. And of course, draftnation.com will bring you our daily updates and podcasts. You could find us on all the social medias at Draft Nation, and you can email me if you want to get a hold of me, joe@draftnation.com.
All right. Also, show sponsor here. This segment brought to you in part by Scott Morganroth's book, Lessons from the Microphone, enduring wisdom of visionary leaders. You can pick it up at Barnes & Noble, also on Amazon, and by his publisher as well. Check his book out, 45 years of experience in the media. Check out Scott's book. I have it, and a few others have it as well. A lot of us do. It's a great book. It's trending out there, so go out and get it. Leo Haggerty, your final, or I'm sorry, I already got to you, I think. Yeah, I did. All right. My final thoughts today are that, the NFL Hall of Fame was here. Some guys got in, others didn't. The Steelers that were supposedly involved in it, James Harrison and Hines Ward, once again. I've had this argument many times with Scott and many other people about Hines Ward. Statistics don't match. But you know what? Hines Ward, I think, was a good wide receiver, but he wasn't a great wide receiver. And that's, I think, the problem as to why he doesn't get into the Hall of Fame. I hope that these Steelers start getting in there. We're going to be seeing the Bens of the world. The local native Larry Fitzgerald, Pitt player, is cited for next year's Hall of Fame class. They're already predicting who's going to be in next year's Hall of Fame class and so on. So we'll talk about that another time. The NFL honors as well, next show as well, because we didn't have enough time to talk about those things today. And at least Kevin Stefanski didn't get Coach of the Year like he did last year. So anyhow, you can reach me at rwmediaproductions.com, www. Check my website out, which is done for me by Digital Data. Check them out, digitaldata.com. They manage my website. $40 a month, all the way up to about maybe 50, 60 a month, depending on what you want to do. And digital data is right there when I need them. I email them. I tell them what I want. Within a half hour to an hour, it's up on the website. No questions asked, no nothing. I have a personal assistant that helps me with that. Real easy to do. Low monthly rates. Check it out, digitaldata.com. Tell them Ralph Williams sent you. And you can reach me on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter X platforms. And also, please don't forget to subscribe on my YouTube channel, Ralph Williams RW Media. And also don't forget to follow me on Twitter X as well. All right. Did I get everybody? I just want to make sure I got everybody for their final thoughts and everything. Okay, we're good. All right. I'm sorry. I had a little bit of issues with my neck and I had to get off the air a couple of times here. So I just want to let sorry about that. And until next week, this has been the Saturday Sports Show, formerly known as You Know What. We will see you next week. And Scott Morganroth will be back next week from the Super Bowl, and we'll get his thoughts on his experience there as well, him and Candy Ebling. Thank you, Joe KUKLIS, PENNSMAN Sports as well, Leo Haggerty. And for all these guys and for everybody, thank you for watching and listening to the show today. Until next week, have yourself a great one. Thank you.
Enjoy the Super Bowl, everybody.